So next week there are two possibilities for what video is going to be coming out. Either an announcement of the Kickstarter going live, which is admittedly rather unlikely, or I'll end up talking about Warhammer again. But this time, we're going to be talking about Warhammer again. Specifically, I want to talk about how I fucked up with my Deathwatch army video. I'll admit, I'm not good at any games I play, but I'm also very new. I passed over some stuff which is actually very important, and I need to correct myself. I looked at my army and thought it was bad for not doing one thing fantastic, instead doing everything else rather well. That's dumb. That versatility makes my army fantastic, better than most in fact. I got annoyed with my mission tactics for being very limited. I'll be honest, it's still annoying, but I now know how to use them. Let's get into correcting myself. 1. What I expect with my Deathwatch army. It should be built with range in mind, but the great thing with it is that you can use any unit from the Space Marine unit list so long as it doesn't have a specific chapter keyword like salamanders or white scars. Most of the Deathwatch's abilities, stratagems, and such utilize ranged weapons, with recent changes primarily bolter-type weapons. There's now a list of which weapons count as bolter-type weapons. The 3 stratagems that I said were pretty good last time, they now affect only 2 kill teams with bolter weapons, so usefulness of the stratagems is reduced, but they utilize every round if you decide you want to spend the command points with it. Now, another mistake I made is mission tactics. A single battle lasts 5 rounds, which can be a long time, be warned. But with 3 different mission tactics, each having or giving different tools like a Swiss Army knife, it can be a good idea to adapt each round for each tactic, utilizing that round. For example, with Purgatus, it now only grants precision on critical hit scores, so doing that with one hyper focus on groups with attached units. Enhancements are often forgotten about, but they're not near as unused as I originally thought. They're a great idea to look at if you want to add some extra points but don't have enough points to add a new unit, or have the intention on adapt the field slightly. Let's talk about them. 4 enhancements with the Black Steel detachment are Thief of Secrets, Osseous Key, Beacon Angelus, and the Tome of Ectoclades. You can have 3 of these on 3 different characters. Thief of Secrets is great for a melee-based character, as it increases the strength, damage, and armor penetration of melee weapons by 1. If the character killed an enemy model, it increases to 2 until at the end of the battle, which can turn something like a force axe or chain axe into an absolute brute force of nature. This can be put onto any Adeptus Astartes units. I don't know if this counts for Primaris Astartes units, but given most everything is getting replaced by Primaris, I assume it does. Osseous Key can be placed on a Tech Marine or the Watchmaster. This allows you to target an enemy vehicle within 12 inches within line of sight of the bearer of the key at the start of the enemy shooting phase. The target must make a leadership test. If it passes, they'll take a -1 to every attack until the end of the phase. If they fail, they just can't shoot that phase. The only negative with this is it doesn't work on Titans, which won't really be used a whole lot since Titans are Forge World units. Next up is the Beacon Angelus, which can only be put onto Astartes models again. This gives the bearer's unit, including any models they're attached to, the Deep Strike ability. You can also use Rapid Ingress stratagem on the unit with no cost at all. Deep Strike lets you teleport into the map from reserves anywhere outside of 9 inches of an enemy, while Rapid Ingress allows you to teleport during the enemy's reserve phase of their movement phase, which is great for Deathwatch's stratagem of Teleportarium, which lets you go into reserves. So it lets you drop out of close quarters at any point. The Tome of Ectoclades can be put on any captain or watchmaster units, and lets you essentially use Oath of Moment on 2 units, which can let you easily divide and conquer. This can only be used once per battle though, so be careful when you use it. But it's a good idea if your opponent has 2 guys causing trouble. In combination with some mission tactics, it can easily destroy units' leaders. Adaptive tactics becomes a lot more useful with the enhancement and rules in mind, as it can give one of your units a different tactic and allow you than the pre-established ones, being Precision Strike Force. I recommend using it for sniper type units to really go through and precision strike. It can also be very useful for torrent type weapons like the Flamers. The combination of tactics, stratagems, and enhancements can let you adapt, switch, and strike in ways that give a prep for anything. Now, these can obviously be overcome with certain tactics and certain army rules, like the Eldari, for example, with their Strands of Fate. That's just kind of ridiculously overpowered. They're at the top of the leaderboards right now. Then we've got some abilities on some units, which aren't near as specific as they used to be. But if anyone saw me bitch about my own army, I pointed out that the old chapter rules, which apparently are still there, but for an Imperial Agent unit, the Lord Inquisitor Kyria Draxus, who has the Xenos Hunter ability. Of course, this only applies to the unit he is attached to, but it can be great in addition to a 2k or 3k army, which can have 2 or 3 Imperial agents in the Imperial army. Of course, I pointed out that round stratagems now only apply to bolt weapons, which are pretty limiting, but let's take a look at the list. Well, it's kind of massive. So most Astartes are using these type of weapons, other than energy-based weapons. But as I've said before, I'm still learning the game. I'm hoping I'm getting better and smarter with it, better utilizing my units, better working on strategy, and going to get better. I'm going to keep building up my army until I come up with what I consider a perfect plan. But until that day occurs, I'll keep experimenting. I'm actually really close to a full-sized army of 3k now, so I'm trying to figure out what my next army will be. I'm considering Sisters of Battle, but who knows? Maybe Custodes? Would be simple to paint the gold boys, though I doubt I'd do a Palace Guard color. This video is real short, I'll admit. I just wanted to correct myself for my mistakes. I'm new to the actual tabletop game. I'm still learning it quickly though. I don't know what I'll be making next week. Maybe that Kickstarter announcement I just stated, but no guarantee of that. If not that though, I'll probably be doing another Warhammer video talking about the new Warhammer TV show, Pariah Nexus. I want to theorycraft with it, so hopefully I'll get to that soon. Hopefully in the next week or two. But until then, shove off.